Hello friends, in this video we'll understand about monetary policy. I am Aman Kumar, faculty Indian Economy. Now let's start the video with a very simple question. What is monetary policy? The answer is it is a strategy. It is a strategy either to increase or to decrease the supply of money in the economy depending on the prevailing situation in the economy. Monetary policy is created and executed by Reserve Bank of India, which is the Central Bank of India. Now friends, let's come on another question. What is the need to reduce the supply of money in the economy? Well, the answer is very simple. With more money in pockets of people, लोगों के जब हाथ में ज्यादा पैसा होता है, they tend to purchase more goods and services. वो लोग ज्यादा खर्चा करते हैं, नया सामान खरीदते हैं, they consume more. And with that, the demand increases in the market. However, the supply remain constant, but the demand increases suddenly in the market. And because of that comes higher inflation. महंगाई बढ़ना शुरू होती है उसके कारण धीरे धीरे. Now, higher the inflation, the value of your currency will erode at a faster pace. जब ज्यादा तेजी से महंगाई बढ़ती है तो आप उतने ही पैसे में कम सामान खरीद पाते हैं. इस बात को हम let's take an example to understand this concept. For example, in 2010 you could buy 4 candies out of 1 rupee. आप 4 टॉफीज खरीद सकते थे 1 रुपए में. मगर in 2020 now you can buy just 1 toffee out of 1 rupee. So here you can see that your same 1 rupee has lost its power. अब आपको उसके बदले में 3 टॉफीज कम मिल रही हैं. So that's the trouble with inflation. Moreover, inflation creates trouble for poor people in particular. People who have limited sources of income, उनके ऊपर खासा फर्क क्रिएट होता है इन्फ्लेशन का, बिकॉज जो पहले लिमिटेड उनके पास में इनकम थी उससे अब वो कम सामान खरीद पाएंगे. इन एडिशन टू दैट, इन्फ्लेशन ऑल्सो क्रिएट्स हायर इन्फ्लेशन ऑल्सो क्रिएट्स लो इन्वेस्टमेंट्स एंड रिड्यूस्ड एक्सपोर्ट. इसकी वजह से इकोनॉमी में इन्वेस्टमेंट्स भी गिर जाती हैं और एक्सपोर्ट्स का भी रिडक्शन होता है. वो कैसे होता है, we'll understand these concepts in another video that I will make for inflation in particular. Now friends, in last section we saw that why do we need to decrease the supply of money in the economy. Now in this session we see why do we need to increase the supply of money in the economy. Right here you can see it is increased. So let's assume that economy is going through a very tough phase. The growth of GDP in the economy is very low. People do not have enough jobs, enough income to purchase new stuff, new goods or services in the economy. लोगों के पास में इतना पैसा ही नहीं है कि वो बाहर जाएं और चीजें खरीदें because उनके पास employment opportunities नहीं है. Now in that particular scenario, the supply of money becomes very essential, right? Let's assume this flow chart. In this case, if the GDP growth is very low, then by increasing the supply of money in the economy, new demand will be generated for goods and services. ज्यादा पैसा जब लोगों के पास में आएगा, they will start spending more, they will demand for more stuff, more services. Now as soon as the demand will increase for new goods and services, accordingly new business will be generated. नई इंडस्ट्रीज खुलेंगी, नई फैक्ट्रीज बनाई जाएंगी एंड उस फैक्ट्रीज में, उन इंडस्ट्रीज में या उन बिजनेस के अंदर आपको नए लोगों को एम्प्लॉयमेंट देना पड़ेगा. So here you are generating new employment actually, and because of this new employment mainly income will generate. Here you are generating more income, and with more income again more demand will be created. More demand for goods and services will be created, and according to that slowly and slowly this GDP growth will start to rise again. Because of this whole cycle, the economic growth will revive and the GDP growth will again start to move upward, right? So that is the main reason behind which, or because of which, we increase the supply of money in the economy, and somehow we achieve growth back to its normal course. Now we'll see RBI किस तरह से इन चीजों को करता है, how it increases or decreases the supply of money. So under monetary policy, RBI utilizes two set of tools. These tools are quantitative or qualitative. Now let's understand the quantitative first. Quantitative tools are also called as general tools. General because whenever any change is done in these tools, there is an equal effect, almost equal effect on the whole economy. एंड इट डजेंट मैटर कि एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर है, सर्विस सेक्टर है, इंडस्ट्रीज है, हर तरीके के सेक्टर के ऊपर ऑलमोस्ट एक जैसा इफेक्ट क्रिएट होता है इसकी वजह से. Whereas on the other side, in the qualitative tools, which are also called as selective tools in nature, whenever any kind of change is done, it is done by keeping a specific sector under consideration. जैसे मान लीजिए कि शुगर सेक्टर में लेट्स से कि एक स्लम्प आ गया है. So in that particular situation, RBI will read about that, RBI will take consideration about that, and through qualitative tools, it will give directions to banks to increase the flow of credit specifically to the sugar sector. Right, so एक specific sector focused होता है, that is why they are called as the selective tools, whereas the quantitative, because यहाँ पे कोई sector specific को focus में नहीं रखा जाता, that is why they are called as general tools. Now friends, let's understand one by one the various tools that are there under the quantitative tools. And in that, the most important and one of the most frequently used tool is the LAF. LAF is also called as a liquidity adjustment facility. Liquidity adjustment facility was introduced in 2000. It was introduced on the recommendation of Narsimham Committee. LAF has two main tools under it. One is called as the repo rate, which is also called as a policy rate, and another is called as a reverse repo rate. Right? Whenever there is any kind of change introduced, either repo rate or in the reverse repo rate, then a sudden effect can be seen in the whole economy when it comes to supply of money. Now friends, let's understand that how the repo rate is used in order to control inflation. महंगाई को कंट्रोल करने के लिए repo rate को कैसे यूज किया जाता है? First of all, let's understand the definition of repo rate. Repo rate is simply the rate at which banks take short-term credit from RBI against government securities as a collateral. So here, what is happening that RBI is giving loans to banks, whereas banks are offering government securities as a collateral. Now the rate of interest charged on these loans is nothing but what? Repo rate. I have also focused on this term short-term credit because the maturity period of these loans can range from minimum of 1 day to maximum of 14 days. Now let's suppose there is high inflation in the economy. People have more money in their pocket and they are keep on increasing consumption in the economy, because of which the inflation is keep on rising. Inflation बढ़ रही है because people are spending more in the economy. Now the moment, in order to control that consumption, RBI increases the interest rate charged on the short-term loan, or in another word, repo rate को बढ़ा देगा RBI. The moment repo rate is increased, all the loans, all the short-term loans that have been given by RBI to banks, they will become what? Expensive. Now banks also have another set of financiers. उसके पास एक और option है in order to get finances, and these are people who have extra money in their pocket. But in order to motivate these people, banks will offer higher interest rate on the savings. जो भी आपको इंटरेस्ट रेट आपके फिक्स डिपॉजिट पे मिलता है या पे रिकरिंग डिपॉजिट पे मिलता है, दैट विल बी इंक्रीज्ड. एंड नाउ पीपल हैव टू ऑप्शंस, ईदर टू सेव मोर बिकॉज द सेविंग्स हैव बिकम मोर प्रॉफिटेबल, और टू कंज्यूम दिस मनी. Now obviously, because the savings rate have been increased, people will opt to deposit their extra money with banks. So at least with that move, you have extracted all the extra money that were there with the people, and यहाँ पे आपने consumption को demotivate कर दिया. Next set of people are the people who takes loans. Now, because the finances or the funds for the banks have become expensive as the repo rate has been increased and RBI is giving expensive loans, at the same time savings rate have increased, and this is nothing but a kind of expenditure for banks. So in order to keep the profits intact, bank will also increase the interest rate charged on the loans. Loans can be of any type, home loan, automobile loan, anything. The interest rate will be increased on the loans given to people. Now, the moment these loans become expensive, people will stop taking loans for unnecessary purposes or for the consumption purposes. So again, here also you have demotivated the consumption. You have demotivated the consumption here. So both set of people will consume less. Now this whole story will end finally in low demand for the goods and the inflation will slowly come under control. And the whole story is being summarized here. The moment repo rate has been increased, the interest rate on the savings has been increased, interest rate on loans because of that will be increased, and finally there will be low supply of money in the economy. So these all things they are connected with each other, which finally ends into low demand for goods, and somehow the inflation will be under control. Now friends, you have already seen that how repo rate was used to control the inflation. Now here in this section we will understand that how repo rate is used to boost the GDP growth in the economy. वापस GDP growth को boost देने के लिए how the repo rate is used. Now again, repo rate is the rate at which RBI give loans to banks, and at the same time banks offer government securities as a collateral, and the rate of interest charged on these loans is nothing but repo rate. Now let's imagine that there is very low GDP growth in the economy. People are not buying anything in the economy. They do not have money in their pocket. So the demand is already low, and because of that, production is also getting down slowly and slowly. So what RBI will do? RBI will reduce the repo rate here. And the moment it reduces the repo rate, obviously the loans that being given to the banks, they will become what? They will become cheap. Now, if the RBI is providing a cheap option for loans to banks, banks will definitely not offer a higher rate of savings to people who had extra money in their pocket. यहाँ पे जो savings rate होता है वो decrease कर दिया जाएगा by banks. Now people, if they are not getting higher rate of savings from banks, they will definitely go to consume this same money that they had. तो जो consumption होती है by these people, that will go high, or that will be increased. A second set of people will also get benefit out of this situation. Now, because banks are getting cheap loans from RBI and they are not need to give any higher rate of interest on the savings, they will definitely offer low interest rate on the loans that people take. So यहाँ पर भी जो interest rate होगा loans के ऊपर, that will be decreased. Now both of these situations will help people to take more loans, and thus they will also start to consume more, and definitely the consumption in the economy will increase. A higher consumption is nothing but a higher demand, and higher demand finally followed by higher production, and higher production finally followed by higher employment. Thus you are actually doing nothing but you are increasing the GDP growth here. And all that whatever story we have discussed has been summarized in this chart. Repo rate has been decreased. Because of that, the loans become cheaper for banks, and thus banks will not offer any more higher rate of savings to people. So thus they have decreased. And because of that, the interest on the loans were also decreased that were offered to people. So both of these people will consume more here. Now, because of that, there will be high supply of money in the economy, and thus everything, all these things will finally lead to high GDP growth. So friends, as you already know the concept of repo rate, now we'll discuss the concept of reverse repo rate. In here, as the name suggests, banks will give loan to RBI, and RBI will give government securities as collateral. And whatever rate of interest charged on this transaction is nothing but reverse repo rate. Now, when do we need this reverse repo rate? When RBI chooses to bring that reverse repo into operation. So friends, sometimes what happens that banks are already stacked up with funds. Banks के पास में enough deposit है. They have lots of money with them and they are keep on giving loans to people for various purposes. They are keep on giving loans to people and because of that there is high inflation in the economy. Inflation काफी ज़्यादा बढ़ गई है. So with that reverse repo, the moment RBI increases this interest rate, banks start to divert their funds towards RBI rather than to people. वो जनता को ज्यादा लोन नहीं देगा. They will opt RBI to give loan. Now, one very important question that comes in mind is that, see, banks charge rate of interest on the loans to people that the range can be from 7% to 12%. मतलब 7% से लेके 12% तक rate of interest charge किया जाता है by the various types of loans given by the banks to people. However, the reverse repo rate is way too low in comparison of this interest rate, and this can be, let's say, from 2% to maximum of 4%. The point is that even after this low interest rate here, banks chooses the RBI to give loans. What is the answer to that question? Well, the answer is very simple, because whenever you take financial decision, it is not always the profitability but also the safety which is taken into consideration. आप सेफ्टी को भी चूज करते हैं कि जो भी आप फंड्स दे रहे हैं, जो भी आप लोन्स दे रहे हैं, वो वापस रीपे हो पाएंगे कि नहीं हो पाएंगे. सो व्हेनेवर देयर इज अ कंपैरिजन बिटवीन आरबीआई और पीपल, ऑब्वियसली आरबीआई इज अ मच मोर रिलायबल एंटिटी देन एनी अदर पर्सन in the economy. Point number 2 is that obviously this point was safety against profitability. Point number 2 is that these loans that are given on the reverse repo, these loans or on the repo, they are of short period. They are like from 1 day to maximum of 14 days. जो maturity period होता है in ट्रांजैक्शंस का, वो ऐसा हो सकता है कि एक दिन के लिए भी लोन लिया जाए एंड दैट कैन आल्सो बी पॉसिबल कि मैक्सिमम 14 डेज के लिए लिया जाए, जबकि यहाँ पे लॉट्स ऑफ लोन्स कैन रेंज फ्रॉम 1 ईयर टू लेट्स से 20 ईयर्स, राइट. सो ऑब्वियसली जो पीरियड है यहाँ पे काफी ज्यादा है, तो रिस्क और ज्यादा बढ़ जाता है वर्सेस आरबीआई. So these are the two major reasons because of which banks opt RBI to give loans rather than to people. Now, in the almost opposite situation, when there is a low demand in the economy and GDP is sliding down, GDP धीरे धीरे नीचे जा रहा है, डिमांड कम है, प्रोडक्शन नहीं हो रही है, एम्प्लॉयमेंट गिरती जा रही है धीरे धीरे करके, at that time RBI chooses to decrease the reverse repo rate. The moment RBI decreases the reverse repo, banks will again start giving loans to people. लोगों को वापस से ज्यादा लोन देने लग जाता है, जिसकी वजह से अगेन फिर से डिमांड इंक्रीज होती है एंड प्रोडक्शन इंक्रीज होने लग जाती है, एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिलता है और ज्यादा लोगों को, एंड जीडीपी is again on the track. So guys, the next thing is a bank rate, which is another quantitative tool. Bank rate is the interest rate that is charged by RBI on the long-term loans given to the banks. जो long terms के लिए लोन दिए जाते हैं, where the minimum period can be of 90 days to a maximum period of 1 year. So these long-term loans attract an interest rate which is called as what? Bank rate. Now if you can remember, under the repo rate, the maturity period of loans was minimum 1 day to maximum 14 days, right? However, here the minimum period is of 90 days to maximum 1 year. Another distinguishing factor between the bank rate and the repo rate is that under bank rate, no collateral is required to be submitted by any bank. राइट, कोई भी चीज गिरवी रखने की जरूरत नहीं है आपको आरबीआई को. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इज दैट बैंक रेट यूज्ड टू बी द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट रेट बिफोर ईयर 2000 when the first time the repo rate was introduced in the Indian economy. Year 2000 से पहले बैंक रेट यूज्ड टू बी कॉल्ड एज व्हाट? पॉलिसी रेट, जिसको आजकल आप रेपो रेट के नाम से जानते हैं. आजकल रेपो रेट ही पॉलिसी रेट होता है, मगर ईयर 2000 से पहले bank rate used to be the policy rate. Now, whenever there will be an increase in the bank rate, जब भी bank rate increase होगा तो definitely जो भी loans RBI से बैंक्स को जाते थे, they will become that funds will become expensive, thus the banks loan will become expensive. जो आगे फर्दर जनता को जाना है या पब्लिक को जो लोन्स जाने थे, that will become expensive owing to an increase in the bank rate, and because of that the money supply will be constrained in the economy. Money supply will be reduced in the economy. Next thing, when the bank rate will be decreased, अगर आप बैंक रेट को कम करेंगे, the bank loans will become cheap, obviously because banks को cheap funds मिल पा रहे हैं from RBI, so in that case the bank loans जो public को जाते हैं that will become cheap, and thus the supply of money in the economy, more people will take loans, more people will consume, so thus the money supply will be increased definitely. Next thing, bank rate is not changed very frequently, because as I already discussed with you that bank rate used to be important before 2000. It used to be the policy rate before 2000. But right now, particularly after year 2000, it was observed that Indian economy has become very dynamic in nature. So because it is keep on changing on a very frequent basis, so we require a tool that can manipulate the supply of money in the economy on short-term basis. For that, the more viable option is of repo rate rather than the bank rate, right? Next thing, the bank rate is also called as rediscounting rate. Now, this is one of the very important concept, but this particular concept will be discussed when we will discuss the capital markets, because here there are certain instruments that need to be discussed with you, particularly the bill of exchange. So we will discuss this in detail in the lecture for capital markets. Now let's understand the concept of reserve ratio system, that mainly consists of cash reserve ratio and statutory liquidity ratio. It is a portion of the deposits of bank which is kept in order to maintain these ratios. So a portion or a part of deposits is utilized to maintain this cash reserve ratio or the statutory liquidity ratio. These reserve ratios are primarily used in order to deal a situation where all of a sudden lots of depositors are demanding for their money back from bank. A situation which was very recently faced by Yes Bank. Now at that time, when the depositors are standing on the doorstep of the bank and they are demanding for their money back, at that time the money which is there under the cash reserve ratio or statutory liquidity ratio is used to repay their demands. At least a degree of their demands can be met by the money that is there under CRR or the SLR. Kindly note this thing, that no loans can be given through the money which is there under the cash reserve ratio or the statutory liquidity ratio. Another important objective that can be met with the reserve ratio system is that by either increasing these ratios or by decreasing them, you can change the supply of money in the economy. This particular point will be discussed in details in the upcoming sections. Now let's focus on the concept of net demand and time liabilities. This is the basis on which the CRR and SLR is calculated. Now, a bank can have different type of deposits. For example, people can save their money or can deposit their money through various facilities like savings account, where on demand people can withdraw their money out. Other facilities are like fixed deposits or RDs, that is called as a fixed deposits or recurring deposits. Under these facilities, there is a precondition that before 1 year, depositor cannot withdraw his money out, and if he does so, then he has to pay a penalty on it. Now, like people, other financial institutions also keep their deposits with the bank. Let's consider here the case of PNB, which has deposited its money with State Bank of India. Now this plus this and thus, all these three things are nothing but liabilities for State Bank of India. Particularly, the savings account money is the demand liability for State Bank of India, while the money that is there under the fixed deposit or RD, or the money which is deposited by PNB to State Bank of India, that will become a term liability for the bank. At the same time, State Bank of India can also have deposits with Punjab National Bank. But in this particular case, this money will become a kind of asset of State Bank of India. Now, as I have already told you, CRR and SLR is calculated on the liability and not on the asset. So here, what we'll do is that we will sum up the money that is there under the demand liabilities or under the term liabilities minus the asset. So here, what we'll do is that we'll take savings account money plus the money that is there under the FD or RD or the money that has been deposited by the Punjab National Bank. All that money will be taken, and out of that we'll subtract the asset of State Bank of India, which is nothing but the deposits that are there with Punjab National Bank. This will give you net demand and term liability of State Bank of India. So friends, let's understand the concept of cash reserve ratio in detail and how it is used to control the supply of money in the economy. Cash reserve ratio is again a part of quantitative tool. So cash reserve ratio, as we already know, is the portion of NDTL. NDTL is nothing but the total liabilities of bank. So it is the portion of the NDTL that the commercial and the scheduled banks have to keep with RBI and in the form of cash. So here you need to focus on two particular things, that the cash reserve ratio has to be maintained in cash only and not in any other form like gold or anything. Right? The cash has to be maintained by banks in order to maintain the CRR, and that cash has to be kept with RBI and not with banks. ये जो पैसा होता है CRR वाला, the money that banks kept as CRR, that money has to be kept with RBI and banks उसको अपने पास नहीं रख सकते हैं. Now this particular point becomes a distinctive point against SLR. We'll discuss that further. Now under the under the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, RBI can prescribe a CRR on the banks. So this power of RBI to prescribe CRR, that is a cash reserve ratio on a bank, was given under the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. This in particular is very important because the SLR on other hand was given under the Banking Regulation Act of 1949. However, here it is a Reserve Bank of India Act that prescribed for the CRR on banks. Next point is that there is no ceiling rate or no floor rate of CRR. That means RBI, if it believes that it is required, then RBI can even prescribe for 100% of NDTL. कहने का मतलब ये है कि जो भी फाइनेंस एज अ लायबिलिटी, जो भी डिपॉजिट्स बैंक के पास में पड़े हैं, 100% ऑफ दैट कैन बी केप्ट एज CRR बाय द बैंक्स विद RBI. अगर RBI को लगता है ऐसा कि जरूरत आन पड़ी है कि हमें सारे डिपॉजिट्स को सेफगार्ड करना है जो बैंक्स के पास है, then at that particular time RBI can even prescribe for 100% of NDTL, or it can go also for 0% of NDTL. However, ऐसा कभी होता नहीं है कि 0% NDTL कर दिया जाए या 100% NDTL कर दिया जाए, बिकॉज दोनों सिचुएशंस काफी ज्यादा एक्सट्रीम हो जाती है उस कंडीशन के अंदर, राइट. However, this situation was not like that. Before 2006, there was a ceiling rate of the CRR, and that was 20% of NDTL. मतलब कि 20% of total liabilities of जो banks थी, that could be maintained as CRR maximum. इससे ज्यादा नहीं जा सकता था RBI in order to prescribe for CRR. And at the same time, जो floor rate था of CRR was at 3%. However, in 2006, it was observed that RBI को थोड़ा सा ज्यादा room देना चाहिए in order to maintain the banking system in economy. That is why this particular floor rate and the ceiling rate was removed from the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. Right. Next point, how the CRR is used to control the supply of money in the economy. So let's suppose that there is high inflation in the economy. Inflation काफी ज़्यादा बढ़ गई है economy के अंदर. Then at that time the CRR will be raised. CRR को हम बढ़ा देंगे, and because of that, more funds of banks will be kept with RBI in the form of cash, as the CRR has been raised. Now banks will be left with less funds. Banks के पास ज़्यादा funds नहीं बचेंगे, and that same funds can be now given for loans. So loans बहुत सोच समझ के banks further देंगे और loans के जो number होंगे that will reduce. Now less supply, because of that the supply of money in the economy will reduce क्योंकि loans कम जा रहे हैं. So less supply of money, that means less demand in the economy, and this will finally lead to inflation to be controlled. Inflation धीरे धीरे करके इसकी वजह से control में आने लग जाएगी. In another example, let's suppose that there is low GDP in the economy. लोग बिल्कुल भी खर्चा नहीं कर रहे हैं, डिमांड ही नहीं है इकोनॉमी में, प्रोडक्शन गिरती जा रही है, लोगों को एम्प्लॉयमेंट नहीं मिल रही है. At that particular time the CRR can be lowered. उस टाइम पे CRR को हम कम कर सकते हैं. So when CRR will be lowered, then banks will have more funds to give loans to people, and in that situation banks will give more loans to market or to economy. उसके बढ़ने की वजह से डिमांड बढ़ेगी, more production will take place, लोग ज्यादा लोन लेंगे in order to consume or in order to produce, to set up factories, etc., and then that will lead to the recovery of GDP growth, right? One very important particular aspect about the CRR is that currently the regional rural banks that you must have heard, which are actually focusing the rural India right now, they have been exempted to maintain CRR right now. CRR को ये लोग maintain नहीं करते हैं. RBI ने जो rules and regulations बना रखे हैं for CRR, from that the regional rural banks have been exempted, right? So guys, this in particularly becomes very important because suppose एक ऐसी situation आती है जहां पे जो inflation है वो ज्यादा high हो रखी है in urban areas only, and we do not want to disturb the agricultural economy in India. So in that particular situation, RBI chooses CRR. RBI CRR को choose करके over any other tool, because whenever the CRR will be raised, then it will majorly affect the urban areas, because regional rural banks are not in urban areas and they are majorly in the rural areas. So just because of that, CRR will be raised, and all that inflation that is there in the urban areas will finally decline, and the rural economy will not be disturbed with this step, right? Now let's understand the statutory liquidity ratio, which is another quantitative tool. We will also understand how it is used to control the supply of money in the economy. So SLR, just like CRR, is calculated as a portion of net demand and term liabilities. That is nothing but the total liabilities of a bank, right? And it must be maintained in the form of highly liquid assets. Highly liquid asset, if you can remember, the CRR was maintained in the form of cash only. However, in the SLR, the banks can maintain SLR in the form of gold, there is cash also, then T-bills or government securities. These two particular instruments will be discussed in detail when we will discuss the capital markets, because they play a very important role in the capital markets. But for the time being, just understand that T-bills and government securities are the instruments based on which government of India raises finances from the market, and against that they pay some interest, right? So SLR can be maintained in gold, cash, T-bills or GSEC or any other asset which is prescribed by RBI. तो जो भी RBI prescribe करता है asset, that can be used to maintain the SLR. Now another distinguishing point between the SLR and CRR is that these assets are kept in bank's own custody, whereas the CRR was kept with RBI. Banks earn interest on maintaining SLR assets. Yes, that is the very important point because of which the SLR and CRR are different. See, the CRR is maintained in the form of cash and it is maintained with RBI on the behalf of bank. Whereas the RBI does not pay any kind of interest to banks, though cash RBI के पास में है, मगर फिर भी RBI किसी भी तरीके का interest pay नहीं करता है to banks on CRR. However, because these SLR assets, the money that is kept in the SLR assets, they in itself provide some sort of returns to bank. राइट, फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर मान लीजिए आपने गोल्ड के फॉर्म में एसएलआर को मेंटेन किया हुआ है किसी बैंक ने, तो गोल्ड का जो रेट है वो अप्रिशिएट होता है टाइम बाय टाइम. So because of that, bank can earn something on that. then they will prefer like T-bills or G-Sec, because I have told you that these are the instrument based on which government of India raises finances from the market against a interest rate. So government of India in T-bills or G-Secs के against interest pay करती है. That is why they are the most preferred way under which the banks maintain SLR. Next is the SLR was provided by Section 24 of Banking Regulation Act 1949, or simply you can remember this, that SLR came through Banking Regulation Act of 1949. However, if you remember, the CRR came with the RBI Act of 1934, right? So under the Banking Regulation Act of 1949, RBI has power to prescribe a statutory liquidity ratio for the banks. And here, another very big difference between the CRR and the SLR, RBI cannot prescribe for a SLR more than 40% of the total NDTL. तो जो भी नेट डिमांड एंड टाइम लायबिलिटीज हैं बैंक की, उसके 40% से ज्यादा RBI cannot prescribe SLR for banks. Whereas in CRR, there is no as such upper limit or lower limit in the CRR, right? So for the time being, RRBs, that is the regional rural banks, are exempted to maintain the SLR. It is just similar like the CRR. CRR may be the RRBs, the regional rural banks, have been exempted to maintain CRR or SLR. So in a similar fashion that the CRR was used to control the supply of money in the economy, SLR are also used. Now understand how the SLR is used to control the economy. So again, let's consider that there is high inflation in the economy. The SLR will be raised by RBI, right? The moment this SLR has been raised, banks will have low funds because उनका जो पैसा है that has been raised and that is kept under SLR, and banks cannot touch that money to provide loans. So banks will be having low funds with them, and because of that there will be low or less loans in the economy. अब जब loans कम होंगे तो obviously consumption कम होगी और production के लिए जो loans ले जाते हैं वो भी कम लिए जाएंगे. So somehow this will lead to less demand in the economy, right? And finally the inflation will decline. On the other flip side, whenever there is low GDP in the economy, the SLR is lowered. And because of that, banks will be having more funds with them because unka major jo paisa hai that is not stored in SLR right now, and that is more free, that can be used by banks, and that money is used to give more loans to the economy or for consumptive purposes or for any production purposes, right? Because of that, there will be more supply of money in the economy that will lead to more demand, and finally this will lead the recovery of GDP growth again. ये धीरे धीरे करके आपकी जो GDP की growth थी जो slump जा रहा था, finally it will start to resume again. Now let's summarize the difference between the SLR and CRR. CRR is maintained in the form of cash, whereas SLR is maintained in any asset which is allowed by RBI, and mainly it may include gold, treasury bills, government securities, or even cash. However, the bank usually go for treasury bills or government securities. Next is bank gets no interest. They get no interest on maintaining CRR in the cash reserve ratio. However, that is not the case in SLR. So bank are earning interest on maintaining SLR. Next, the cash is maintained under the CRR is maintained in the custody of RBI on the behalf of banks, whereas in the case of SLR, the assets are maintained in bank's own custody. Then in the CRR, there is no floor or ceiling rate of CRR. So RBI, it's a total discretion of RBI. It may increase it up to 100% of the NDTL. In the case of SLR, there is a ceiling rate of 40% beyond which the RBI cannot raise SLR, and this is 40% of NDTL. Next is CRR was enforced through Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. So in Reserve Bank of India 1934, the concept of CRR was introduced, whereas the SLR was introduced through the Banking Regulation Act of 1949. Now let's understand the concept of open market operations. OMOs, which is another quantitative tool. Under OMOs, and depending on the situation in the economy, RBI decides either to purchase or to sell the government securities to banks. Now, these government securities, these are usually high in demand and particularly for banks because they are required for the repo transactions or to maintain statutory liquidity ratio. So that is why they are very much in demand. So let's suppose that there is high inflation in the economy. Public has lots of money in their pocket and they are keep on spending it, and because of which the demand is keep on rising and there is a mismatch of supply and demand. So during that particular scenario, RBI will opt to sell government securities to banks. Now, the moment banks will purchase these government securities, the funds that are available with bank, they will go down because majority of these funds were used to purchase these government securities. So the moment they are less with the funds, obviously there will be less loans to the public, or there will be less flow of money from banks. With that, the supply of money that squeezed down, and because of which the inflation starts to come down. So this is how RBI tried to control high inflation by selling the government securities under OMOs. And at the same time, when a situation that where the GDP growth is very low, जो इकोनॉमी है वो एक स्लम्प से गुजर रही है, there is less demand in the economy. During that particular time, RBI's objective is to increase the flow with public. जनता के पास जो पैसे का flow है उसको increase करने का objective होता है RBI का. So for that purpose, what RBI will do? RBI will purchase government securities from banks. Now, the moment banks will provide government securities to RBI, RBI will release funds to banks. It's a simple selling and purchasing of government securities, right? So now banks have lots of funds with them, and that same funds can be used to provide more loans to public. And with that, there will be high supply of money, which will lead to higher demand of new products and services, and which will finally lead to higher production, and thus the GDP growth will start to revive. So that is a simple concept of the open market operations. Let's understand the concept of marginal standing facility rate, also called as MSFR. But before that, let's revise the concept of repo rate. Under the repo rate, if you can remember, RBI was providing loans to banks against a collateral of government securities. So in order to get finances, a bank must have enough government securities if they want loans under repo rate. However, under certain conditions, it can happen that banks are not left with enough government securities. So whenever such condition arises, banks have another facility which is called as the marginal standing facility rate, or MSFR. Under this facility, a bank can avail a short-term credit of overnight maturity. That means the loan will be of maximum 1 day, and the maximum amount of loan that can be taken by a bank from RBI will be of maximum 1% of the net demand and time liability of bank. So जो बैंक की NDTL है, that is the deposit liabilities है, only 1% of that will be given as loan under the marginal standing facility rate. And even that will be finally decided by RBI whether RBI wants to give loan to that bank or not. So it depends on the discretion of RBI. One more important point regarding the MSF is that currently MSF is 25 basis point more than the repo rate. So the rate of interest charged by RBI is 25 basis point more than what the interest rate has been charged under the repo mechanism. Now you can consider this extra 25 basis point as a kind of penalty on the banks, and this penalty has been paid by bank because they have mismanaged the availability of government securities with them. Government securities is a kind of transaction means for the bank. If bank are not having enough government securities, That means the banks are not doing their management properly. So according to that, a penalty has to be paid by the banks, and that penalty is 0.25% more than what the repo rate is. So this is the concept of marginal standing facility rate. Now let's understand the concept of long-term repo operations, also called as LTROs. The concept is very new because it was introduced in February 2020. So this makes it very important for the civil services exam, right? So let's understand the mechanism of LTRO. Here, RBI will give loans to banks against a collateral of government securities. So if you can remember, then the same mechanism was discussed when we discussed the facility of LAF, that is a liquidity adjustment facility, जिसमें हमने पढ़ा था रेपो और रिवर्स रेपो. वहां पर भी almost same mechanism was there, and particularly in repo. Now the same thing will be followed in LTRO, but the only difference is that यहाँ पे the term of the loans or the maturity period of the loans can be of two types, either of 1 year or of 3 years. या तो 1 साल के लिए या 3 साल के लिए loans दिए जाएंगे for banks. You can see here the tenor period. Tenor is nothing but the maturity period of a loan. So 1 year or 3 year will be the tenor period of these loans. Next thing is that for the time being, as per the latest circular that was released by RBI, almost 1 lakh crore of money will be transferred to banks under this particular facility. Now you will ask that what will be the rate of interest. So rate of interest will be just same as of the repo rate. जो भी repo rate अभी इस टाइम पे चल रहा है, on the same rate of interest, these loans will be given for year 1 or 3. Again, the collateral will also be same just as under the LAF. So government securities, or you can take T-bills, treasury bills as a collateral that can be given by banks to RBI. So it is almost a kind of big brother of LAF arrangement. Now the main purpose of this LTRO to be introduced in February 2020 was that right now our economy is going through a patchy phase. Right, अभी इस समय पे एक तरीके से GDP धीरे धीरे करके नीचे जा रहा है, एंड जैसी अभी ये कोविड की इशू जो हुआ है, because of that also we need to give more finances to banks in order to release more flow of money in the economy, right? So just to give a stability in the finances of banks, we require these kind of arrangement जहाँ पे banks को long term के लिए कोई loans दिए जा सके. Now you can also ask that the arrangement of bank rate could also be used here. Bank rate का arrangement भी हम लोग use कर सकते थे. However, as you already know this fact that under the bank rate, we do not provide, or the banks do not provide any kind of collateral. यहाँ पे bank rate में collateral का concept नहीं था. So this makes this particular arrangement as little riskier. ये थोड़ा risky हो जाते हैं. That is why the RBI has innovated this concept where there will be a collateral of government securities that will be given by the banks to RBI. So friends, with that, we end the part 1 of monetary policy. In the part 1, you saw how the supply of money changes the dynamics of Indian economy. After that, we discussed major difference between the quantitative tool and the qualitative tool. Then we one by one discussed the various quantitative tools that are available under the monetary policy. Finally, in part 2, we will cover the qualitative tools, priority sector lending, monetary policy committee and frameworks, and other recent major changes that took place in the area of monetary policy in last 5 years. Thank you very much, friends, and best of luck.